because that's where he's been based for some of his business activities for many, many years. As you know, Sam, because you're better researched than the BBC on some things, he has a global business. He's got business interests in all the continents of the world. His natural home is here. His donation is nothing out of the blue. It's nothing new. I mean, after all, he gave a significant amount of money. He was a dedicated Brexiteer. He gave a significant amount of money to the Brexit Party at the time, starting off with the European elections in 2019. And, you know, I think what he wants to do, really, is to try and help us get onto a level playing field with the trade union-funded Labour Party and a Conservative Party where there seems to be a remarkable correlation, I can't think why, between donations and membership of the House of Lords. So I think that what Mr. Harport is trying to do is get us onto a level playing field. Yes, it is a very big donation, but I mean, bear in mind, you know, that the Labour Party, literally on the eve of the election in 24, took £4 million from a tax haven-based hedge fund with shares in oil and the arms industry. So perhaps it's not quite as unusual as you think. And does he want, hang on, does he want anything from me? No. Absolutely nothing in return at all. He just happens to think that we've not made the most of Brexit, that we're not getting into the 21st century technologies, and for all the talk about data centres, for all the talk about AI, for all the talk, well, at least from us at least, not the others, about crypto, you know, we cannot do this without the most massive re-evaluation of what is currently a catastrophic energy policy.
There exists in British politics a particular type of leader who builds their entire political identity around being different from the establishment, around playing by different rules because the establishment rules themselves are corrupt and rigged. Nigel Farage has perfected this persona over decades, positioning himself as the plain-speaking insurgent who tells uncomfortable truths that the Westminster elite desperately want to silence. His entire political project depends upon maintaining this image of authenticity, of being the one politician who refuses to play the cozy games that define conventional politics. Which makes this week's revelations about election spending irregularities and crypto-billionaire donations all the more devastating, because they suggest that when it comes to the actual rules that govern democratic competition, Farage and his Reform UK party may be no different from the politicians he loves to condemn. Indeed, they may be considerably worse. Welcome to UK Post-Hug. Please subscribe to the channel for daily updates on hot topics concerning UK politics and the royal family, with detailed breakdowns. Let us begin with the spending scandal, because it strikes at the heart of how elections are supposed to function in this country. Nigel Farage has been reported to the police after a former aide claimed Reform UK falsified its election expenses during the party leader's campaign in Clacton. This is not a minor administrative error or a difference of interpretation about accounting rules. This is an allegation that the party deliberately failed to declare significant spending in order to stay within the legal limit of £20,660 that applies to all parliamentary candidates. Richard Everett, a former Reform UK councillor and member of Farage's campaign team, has submitted documents to the Metropolitan Police showing the party spent more than this limit in the Essex constituency, where Farage finally achieved his long-sought ambition of becoming a Member of Parliament. The specifics of what Everett alleges are important because they speak to systematic rather than accidental non-compliance. According to The Telegraph, which broke the story, Everett claims Reform failed to declare spending on leaflets, banners, utility bills, and the refurbishment of a bar in its Clacton campaign office. These are not obscure items that might reasonably be overlooked in the chaos of a campaign. These are substantial, obvious expenses that any competent campaign would know must be declared. Leaflets and banners are the most basic tools of electoral communication. Utility bills for a campaign office are inevitable running costs. The refurbishment of a bar suggests a level of spending on facilities that goes well beyond the Spartan operations most campaigns must maintain to stay within their budgets. What makes these allegations particularly damaging is the claim about how close Reform's officially declared spending came to the legal limit. Everett alleges that the party's official returns report spending of £20,260, coming just £400 under the limit. This creates the appearance of careful management to stay within the rules, whilst the reality, if Everett's claims are accurate, was that undeclared spending pushed the campaign well over the cap. It looks like deliberate manipulation of the figures to create false compliance whilst actually breaking the law. This is not careless bookkeeping. This is, if proven, systematic fraud designed to gain unfair advantage in an election. Reform UK has responded with predictable aggression, strongly denying breaking the law on election spending and dismissing Everett as a former councillor who was expelled from the party several months ago. This attack on the credibility of the accuser is standard crisis management, an attempt to shift focus from the substance of the allegations to the motivations of the person making them. Yet Everett's status as a former member actually strengthens rather than weakens his position. He was inside the campaign. He saw how money was spent and how expenses were recorded. He has submitted documents to police, not merely made verbal accusations. His defection from the Conservatives to Reform last year, followed by his subsequent departure to sit as an independent councillor, suggests someone who has travelled a political journey and ended up disillusioned. That disillusionment may make him willing to expose what he witnessed, but it does not make his documentation false. Essex Police has now confirmed it is assessing the allegations following a referral from the Metropolitan Police. This is not a casual matter. Police forces do not investigate election spending unless they believe there is substance to the claims requiring examination. The fact that this has moved from complaint to formal assessment suggests the documentation Everett provided is sufficient to warrant serious investigation. Labour Party Chair Anna Turley has seized upon this, demanding that Farage urgently answer serious questions about whether he broke the law and misled the public when standing for election to Parliament. Her statement cuts to the essence of why this matters. Our parliamentary democracy relies on people playing by the rules, so all candidates have a fair hearing with the public, Turley declared. Nigel Farage must come clean and put all the evidence on the table to prove he has not undermined our democracy by breaking the rules. Failure to do so will raise even more questions about what he has to hide. Conservative Chair Kevin Hollenracker has similarly called on police and the Electoral Commission to investigate, stating, "We all have an obligation to play by the rules to ensure our elections are free and fair." This bipartisan condemnation from both major parties is significant. Labour and Conservatives agree on precious little in contemporary British politics, but they agree that if Farage broke election spending rules to win his seat, he must be held accountable. Even Labour Minister Baroness Jackie Smith, whilst properly cautious about prejudging a police investigation, acknowledged that electoral expense rules exist to ensure everybody standing in elections has a fair chance, and therefore this is a serious issue. Yet even as Farage grapples with spending scandal, a second controversy has erupted that may prove even more damaging to Reform's carefully constructed image. The Electoral Commission has been asked to investigate crypto donations to Reform UK amid claims Nigel Farage may have abused his public position as an MP. Both Labour and the Liberal Democrats have requested this investigation, after the Commission's quarterly report revealed that Thai-based crypto billionaire Christopher Harbone had given Reform a £9 million donation, the largest ever political donation by a single living person in British political history. Let that sink in for a moment. £9 million from one individual. This is not grassroots fundraising from ordinary people chipping in £10 or £20 each. This is not even conventional big donor politics, where wealthy business figures might contribute tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds. This is something qualitatively different, a level of financial backing that raises fundamental questions about whose interests Reform UK actually serves. Christopher Harbone, who sometimes operates under the Thai name Chakrit Sakunkrit, is not a household name in British politics. He is a crypto-billionaire based in Thailand who has chosen to pour unprecedented sums into Nigel Farage's political vehicle. What does he want for this money? What influence does he expect to exercise? What policies does he hope reform will pursue or oppose? These are not conspiracy theories or unreasonable suspicions. These are basic democratic accountability questions that arise whenever massive donations flow into political parties. When someone gives £9 million, they expect something in return. The nature of that expected return is a matter of profound public interest. Reform has said that none of the donations from Harbone were in cryptocurrency, a careful denial that does not address the broader questions about crypto donations that Farage has publicly claimed the party has received. This distinction matters because crypto donations present unique challenges for electoral transparency. Traditional donations can be traced through banking systems. Crypto transactions, by design, can be far more opaque. The potential for foreign influence, for money laundering, for circumventing donation limits and reporting requirements, all of this becomes considerably easier when dealing with digital currencies that exist partly to evade traditional financial oversight. The Liberal Democrats have raised concerns in their letter to the Electoral Commission about a potential conflict of interest that could undermine public trust in the integrity of our political system. This is diplomatically phrased, but the implication is clear. They are suggesting that Farage, as a sitting Member of Parliament, may be using his position to advocate for policies that benefit his crypto-billionaire donor rather than the British public. Labour Party Chair Anna Turley went further in her letter to Farage, which was also sent to the Financial Control Authority and the Electoral Commission, stating there are a number